For the past year, the United States government has avoided discussing what is potentially the most important 30 seconds of video footage to have emerged from the U.S. space program. The footage looks fairly innocuous, but some believe that something is going on here NASA doesn't want us to know about. On September the 12th, 1991, STS-48 lifted off into space for what NASA officials expected to be a routine shuttle mission. But what Discovery's cameras would capture high above the Earth during that mission would prove to be anything but routine.
I heard one or two of the astronauts exclaim over shortwave radio, "What is that? What is that?"
NASA says the objects could be space ice, satellites, or debris. Ufologists interpret the footage as either alien spacecraft engaged in armed battle or an armed response to alien spacecraft by SDI, the so-called Star Wars defense system.
This particular day, they were flying over the Philippines. You'll see what looks like stars in the sky, and then you'll see these objects off to the right of the screen. Within a couple of minutes, you will see an object come out of the clouds to the north part of your screen, and it's heading to the north-northwest. In about 4 or 5 seconds, you'll see a flash in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, and then you'll see a streak of light go by that object. Just missed it there, and the one in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. What's being enacted up there is basically a contact with an alien civilization, and that those particular craft are not from here. The flash that we're seeing is probably a mechanism of Star Wars.
Is this finally concrete proof that we're being visited by intelligent light from another planet? Space industry officials answer with an emphatic no.
A lot of things we see on the picture from space are things we're used to seeing here in the control center down here in Houston. They're ordinary events that surround the spaceship. Pieces coming off, water dumps, pieces of ice, insulation. Just little pieces 10, maybe 20 feet away from the camera. And as they're flowing across the field of view of the camera, there's a flash of light as one of the maneuvering jets on the shuttle fires under autopilot control. Anything floating out there is like opening your door on a windy day and watching the dust in your house blow out. The burst of gas from the jet pushes these little pieces of debris, and off they go.
If that is true, why doesn't the horizon line and the curvature of the Earth's latitude change when that rocket fires in the upper left quadrant or to the west side?
And NASA's explanation defies the laws of physics, according to University of Nebraska at Omaha physicist Dr. Jack Kasher.
NASA's claim is that these are all pieces of ice, and that this flash down here was an attitude rocket adjuster to adjust the position of the shuttle, so it's going to push it in a certain direction, and the exhaust came up like this. Well, if that happened, then the particles should move up in this direction. Those two pretty well fit that scenario, but I have a real problem with the rest of them because, first of all, this one just starts here and continues on down this way, just straight the whole time. Now, that's the wrong direction for an exhaust in this direction, too. So I really have a lot of trouble seeing how you could make an explanation like that.
Space propulsion expert David Froning refutes NASA's belief that the objects are conventional spacecraft.
Its behavior doesn't look like a normal orbital debris. To make a turn like that in a conventional vehicle would just be impossible. And to do that, you really have to actually warp and twist space. These certainly do appear to be objects that are intelligently controlled.
NASA has issued several statements insisting the UFOs are chunks of space ice, but they refuse to comment on 2 additional sightings that occurred later in the mission. Here, one object is intercepted by a rocket-like projectile. The object continues as more projectiles pass. Later, on the dark side of the Earth, another object comes into view. Soon, a second, faster-moving object nearly collides with the first, then continues out of frame.
What if, then, they were extraterrestrial craft? Well, then, there are some very scary things happening here. Was it some kind of a missile that we were firing at them with? And if that's the case, then why did we do that? It implies we're prepared to do that we're almost expecting to encounter these things, and then we're hostile to them.
Is our military prepared to launch offensive strikes against incoming UFOs? Government officials won't respond.
It's not a question of whether there is a government cover-up about UFOs. There is. It's the most highly classified topic in all the government and military.
Has the military secretly developed SDI beyond public knowledge, despite their denials?
There have been developments for the Space Defense Initiative of particle beam systems that could have particle beams with the kinds of speeds that we saw going straight up into space.
And if that is the case, why are we shooting at them?
It implies that we expected to see them and that we were ready to shoot, and then we did shoot, so we consider them hostile.
You can look at these kind of lights and these kind of reports of the flying saucers coming around our spaceships. In terms of exploration, this is very traditional. These are our sea serpents. These are our mermaids.